In today's video, we're going to be diving into some news and notes from the final session of New Orleans Saints OTAs. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, my name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Really quickly, before we get you informed on all the things happening at practice in Metairie, want to encourage you to subscribe to Saints Now by Chat Sports. We're on the road to 50K, and right now we're sitting at 46,401. Today's goal, I want to get 50 new members of the Golden Gang. So hit the sub button today and help us chip away to 50K. And of course, we also have mandatory minicamp starting up here in just a week or so, a little less than a week actually. June 10th through the 12th, we will have updates here on Saints Now by Chat Sports, free on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe. That way you don't miss anything around the mandatory portions of practice before we get to training camp and before we get to the preseason, because things are starting to heat up. Now let's go to OTAs here. We're going to start off with the attendance missing from practice today. Again, OTAs, they are not mandatory. They are voluntary. So don't really worry about what you see on screen. Alvin Kamara, I have no worries about him. He's always been a guy who typically misses this part, and he works out. He's staying healthy. He will join us later on. Taysom Hill, Brandon Cook, Cesar Ruiz, Tyrann Mathieu, JT Gray, Chris Rumph, Chase Young, Cam Jordan, Nathan Shepard, as well as Dallas Bonham and Nick Saldiveri. They were also players that were not present today at practice. Nick Saldiveri is dealing with a calf injury. Kellen Moore adding an update around there. He did actually miss a lot of camp last year with the calf injury, so that's something to monitor, as that is an injury that has flared up before. But we do have some good news. Quincy Riley, one of the Saints rookies, drafted out of Louisville, teammate of Tyler Shough. He returned to practice, and he actually did some individual drills, which is a good sign, and it's news that Quincy Riley's injury update and injury rehab is headed in the right direction. For what it's worth, I'm not necessarily sure what the injury was, but he did have surgery on an undisclosed injury that he suffered before the draft. This was a pre-existing injury. This wasn't a surprise to the New Orleans Saints, but nonetheless, Quincy Riley, he was out at practice today, participated in individual drills. I'm really excited to see him be a part of the New Orleans Saints defense. I think he's a nice corner, and honestly, in my opinion, he is your Paulson Adebo replacement, pretty much one for one. I mean, look, both wearing number 29. Really cool update also around Jake Haener. Obviously, he did not participate in the early portions of OTAs, but he did participate a little bit in the beginning of practice. So for Jake Haener, that is a good update. That is good news. Obviously, this quarterback battle is pretty wide open. Kellen Moore has said that it is an entirely open battle. Anybody can take it. I personally believe it's going to be between Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough, but Jake Haener does have the opportunity to try to carve out a role on the roster, try to be the backup quarterback, and hopefully not lose his spot to Hunter Deckers, at least in his side of things. And, you know, in terms of mandatory minicamp and in terms of what we should expect, obviously there's a lot of people missing today, but it is expected that everyone will return at mandatory minicamp, Tyrann Mathieu, Alvin Kamara included. So in that regard, Kellen Moore expects the whole roster to be there. I personally think it would make a lot of sense for the entire roster to be there. I don't see anybody who could possibly start stirring things up, holding out on contracts, yada, yada, yada. I don't think that that's going to be a problem for New Orleans this year, and honestly, that's pretty good news for the black and gold. They just don't need a lot of distractions as they try to build for the future here. And look, injuries, in my opinion, ruin sports. They are the worst part of any sort of athletic competition, and honestly, they just suck all around. Whether you're a Saints fan, whether you're just a random fan of another team and you want to know what's going on with the black and gold, we can all agree on this. It doesn't matter if you like the show. It doesn't matter if you hate me. Injuries ruin sports. Like this video if you agree. I can't stand injuries. And if you want the injury bug to stay as far away from New Orleans as possible, Lopez, 500, 600 likes? 600? Lopez is telling me 600 likes. He's actually talking to the injury bug right now. So today, this was a practice that had a lot of focus in the red zone, which the New Orleans Saints weren't necessarily the most productive in the red zone last year. But I will say, in terms of which players stood out, which players did well, you can see who did what type of work. Now, Spencer Rattler, 6 of 8, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Shough, 7 of 8, 1 touchdown. Hunter Deckers, 2 of 4, 1 touchdown. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to overanalyze these numbers here. It really doesn't make all that much of a difference. Again, it's 7-on-7. It's not really much defense. I'm really not all that worried about it. And for what it's worth, The New Orleans Saints last year in the red zone, they scored touchdowns 58.14% of the time, which was good for 12th in the National Football League. So that's something that the Saints weren't absolutely abysmal at last year, but definitely need to be better if they want to take the next steps in being actually a competitive team in the National Football League. But, here's how the quarterbacks played, and reports from Ross Jackson, friend of the program and a close personal friend of mine. Definitely love what he does. Highly encourage you to go subscribe to all of his great content. Go follow him on social media. He has a lot of great stuff here. According to Ross Jackson, he said that Spencer Rattler has looked very quick and he's looked decisive, which is not new. That's how he's looked all OTA session long, if you will, since the beginning of the OTAs. Spencer Rattler has been playing really good football, and he's looked confident, he's looked poised, he's looked like a player who isn't a rookie, which is really good information in my opinion, and he's shown patience throughout the 7-on-7 portions. He's also been decisive. He's had good movement. So in that regard, I think that's pretty good news there for Spencer Rattler. Now, Tyler Shough, in terms of what he's had going on, go watch some of the clips that the Saints media has posted, not just like Ross and Nick Underhill and those guys. Go look at what the New Orleans Saints accounts are posting. I mean, we're seeing some really, really nice throws, not just from Spencer Rattler. I want to give him his flowers as well, but also Tyler Shough. He has been slinging the pill. He's looked really, really good from reports that we've heard at media or at OTAs from media. He's looked good, and he's starting to show some of the flashes of things that Kellen Moore fell in love with during the pre-draft process. So in terms of the quarterback competition, I'm really excited to see what happens there. I think that this competition is far from over, but I would like to start seeing one of these guys separate themselves over the course of the next couple of weeks early into mandatory minicamp, because in my opinion, by training camp, I'd like to see one of these guys be getting true starting reps pretty consistently. Now, before we go, we're going to get into some last-second takeaways from OTAs. Got a couple news and notes. Alontae Taylor, the offensive line. Chris Olave, big update around there, but really quickly want to inform you that, hey, still got some hoodies on sale, man. Still got some hoodies available. They are selling like crazy. Go get yours today, chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. These are the sideline hoodies that the New Orleans Saints players and coaches, all the staff members, they were rocking last year. I have one of these. It's one of my favorite hoodies I own. It's super duper comfortable, and I highly encourage you to go get yours as well. Limited stock, so once they're gone, no more stock at all. Don't hate yourself because you didn't take advantage of the deal. Chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. Link is clickable in the comments and description of this video. Alrighty, so last few things to hit on. I want to start off first on the defensive side of the football. Alontae Taylor getting a lot of praise from Kellen Moore, and we know that Brandon Staley has been very excited to work with number one, and to be totally honest, I am very, very fired up, and the more I hear about Alontae Taylor and what the coaches think, the more it just makes me excited for this football season to start. Kellen Moore is saying that he's having a great time watching Alontae Taylor, and number one has everything you want. He's got juice every day. I just feel like he's going to become a really prominent leader for our team. And I personally believe that that is a role that Alontae Taylor definitely could step into. He is a leader in terms of having the swagger, being the force of energy on the defense. And honestly, I think that you need a guy in the middle right there to kind of just be the guy who stirs it all up and just jawing, talking all that mess, dancing around, having a good attitude. I mean, that is an infectious quality that Alontae Taylor, I think, definitely embodies. And he's even said that he believes his role is going to be pretty crucial this year. They're going to use him a lot, outside, inside. They're going to have him rush the passer. They're going to have him drop back in coverage. They're going to have him do a lot of good things. And Alontae Taylor is a player I'm very, very excited about. And I'm really eager to see Brandon Staley get creative with this player. Let's go to the trenches now. Offensive line. It appears that area of the team is kind of locked in terms of the starting position. So as of right now, expect this to be your starting offensive line. Kelvin Banks, Trevor Penning, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Talese Fuanga from left to right. In terms of takeaways here, Kelvin Banks, he fits in at his natural position that he got all those reps with into Texas Longhorns at left tackle. Trevor Penning kicking it in to the interior of the offensive line. Cesar Ruiz still on the right guard spot today. Dylan Radins did get some starting reps. However, I do expect Cesar Ruiz to be the starter as he missed practice today. That's why Radins filled in. And Talese Fuanga, he actually kicks it back out to the right side where he took all those snaps at Oregon State. Was a left tackle last year, did really, really well, but he is back at his natural position. And in terms of Trevor Penning, seems like things are going well. According to reports, Trevor Penning believes that the things he does well are better suited at the guard position. And, honestly, it's pretty cool to hear that he was happy to make the switch when the coaches told him he was going from the tackle position to the interior, which, gotta love that. Now, in terms of the trade rumors, Chris Olave trade rumors have been a red-hot topic of discussion here, not just on Saints Now, but across national football rumors, across all of that kind of stuff. Kellen Moore put him to rest. He said, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't worry about the trade rumors. So, gotta love that. Kellen Moore on the trade rumors. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just shutting it down. He's going to be a part of the team. He's going to be a part of the roster. Kellen Moore has explicitly said he's had a big impact, and he's going to continue to have a big impact on this roster. I'm really excited to see number 12 get to action. And, hey, suck it, Steelers. I know you just signed Aaron Rodgers, but you ain't getting our wide receiver. Now, shout out a player you're excited to watch this season. I'm personally thrilled and pumped and so excited to talk or to watch guys the last two players we talked about. I'm having a brain fart right here. End of the week, man. Just let's get to the weekend. All right, two players I'm excited about, Chris Olave, Alontae Taylor. I am so pumped to watch these two players this year, and I want to hear from you. Who Dat Nation, I really appreciate y'all for tuning in to today's video, no matter where you are, how you're watching. We always love when the Who Dat Nation takes some time out of their day to hang out with us. Y'all stay golden. We had a video go out earlier this morning. I highly encourage you to check it out. We'll have it linked here on screen in just a moment. Have a great weekend. Shout out to my guy Mitchell Renz. He's getting married this week. So, hope y'all have a great weekend.